Thank you guys so much for, being on time. I think we can jump right in. Shall we, Christina, Vanessa?
Let's do it.
All right. Okay, so hello again, everyone. Wherever you are in the world, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, and welcome to our admissions workshop presented by the UCLA-NUS admissions team. So you will be meeting, the wonderful people in the team from both universities in just a bit. But on behalf of the entire team, a big thank you for taking the time off to join us here today. Now, our hope for you guys at the end of this presentation is basically for you to walk away confident, to walk away with important information and tips in regards to the application process. So hopefully, you won't find it too intimidating or daunting. That's the main takeaway for this particular workshop. And before I go into the program highlights, very quickly, I'd like to introduce myself. I'm Desiree Lai, the Marketing and Admissions Manager from NUS, and I'm the newest member of the team. I joined in late August last year. I believe my colleague Sue-Ann is actually in this call right now as well. Sue-Ann from NUS, would you like to say hi or say a few words very quickly?
Hi everyone, my name is Sue-Ann. So very nice to meet you. Glad that you can join us today.
Awesome, thank you so much, Sue-Ann. So as mentioned, she is my colleague here at NUS, and she's also the admissions expert, the person to speak to in regards to the process and so on. Right now, let's meet the wonderful people from UCLA. Let's start with Christina.
All right, thanks, Desiree. I'm Christina Morentes, the Director of Admissions for the EMBA programs. Great to see you all here. Thank you so much for spending your morning, afternoon, evening with us. We're really excited to share this information with you and to get to know you a little better as well through this process. And I will pass it along to Vanessa.
Good morning and good afternoon, everyone. My name is Vanessa Esquera, and I'm the admissions manager for the EMBA programs and UCLA-NUS EMBA. You'll probably talk to me throughout the application process, so I just look forward to getting to know you and answering any questions you may have. I'll pass it to Desiree, who will kick us off today.
All right, there we have it. This is the team that you'll be speaking to, and we are always here to help you every step of the way. So, feel free to get in touch with us, any one of us, if you have any questions about the program or the admissions process. But right now, here is a summary of the UCLA-NUS Executive MBA program. It's a dual degree program and partnership. So at the end of 15 months, you will graduate with 2 MBA degrees from 2 leading and accredited schools, the UCLA Anderson School of Management and NUS Business School. It's designed to take senior execs, managers, or senior professionals from management to leadership to basically help you become a better leader, to see the bigger picture, and to learn how to run your department or your company more effectively and efficiently. This program has a unique focus on both US and Asian markets, giving you a global perspective and exposure as well. And this program has an emphasis on peer-to-peer learning, experiential approaches, and concept applications. Now, as mentioned, this team and everyone here today that you have just met, our mission is to support you through the application process and to make it as seamless and transparent as possible for you to complete. So here is the overall admissions process and decision timeline. So number one, the first step is for you to do your research, to get to know the program a little more. And to meet with us, you can do a one-on-one consultation, email us your resume, your transcripts, and so on to see if you are a fit for this program and if this program is a fit for you and your career goals. The second step is to gather the required materials, things like your transcripts, your resume, 2 recommendations, TOEFL, and so on. And we will go into detail about these required materials in just a little bit. The third step, okay, is to submit your application. Because it's on a rolling basis, we will encourage every one of you, if you are really interested in the program, to submit your application once you have everything that you need and not wait till the deadline, because early submissions will receive earlier decisions and outcomes. The next step, there will be an interview by invitation. It's basically an official admission interview by UCLA or NUS. And you will only need to register for 1 interview with either universities. And then last but not least, the decision release. It will be on a rolling basis. And then upon your decision to enroll, an acceptance fee will be required for you to secure your seat for the class. Now, both UCLA and NUS teams will review your application jointly. Your application will be evaluated holistically, and every application is scored fairly and accurately. So we are here to guide you along the way, to guide you in your MBA journey, your executive MBA journey. Now let's move on to the next slide. Okay, let's do a deep dive into the admissions process. The first step, as mentioned, is to do as much research as you can. You can go to our website, or you can watch our on-demand webinar. You can see a QR code there. You are more than welcome to take a screenshot or to whip out your phone so that you can gain access to the YouTube link. So watch it anytime and learn about our curriculum, our flexible schedule options, and a whole lot more from the comfort of your home or office. Next, consider whether you are eligible for this program. Are you the right fit? And also at the same time, think about whether the program is a fit for you and your career goals. Now, for this program, okay, we will require a bachelor's degree with a minimum of 3.0 or equivalent. This is the GPA. All right, we are referring to the 4-point system in regards to the GPA scoring. And our executive MBA students typically hold, on average, 14 years of full-time experience and about 9 years of managerial experience. But generally, for at the very bare minimum, we will require 8 years of work experience after you have obtained your bachelor degree. Okay, and depending on where your degree was completed, you may be asked to take an English proficiency exam, either IELTS or TOEFL. At the same time, you should start gathering your materials. For example, sprucing up your resume, seeking 2 recommendations, narrowing down who these referees or, recommenders should be, okay, and to give them the heads up, things like that. You should be doing all of this concurrently, and also to book your TOEFL or IELTS examinations if, it's required. The next thing that you will have to do is to connect with us. Okay, I think it'll be really helpful to schedule like a one-on-one consultation call with myself, with Christina, for example, and to have all of your questions answered in regards to the schedule, to the program, and to gain feedback on your eligibility for this particular course or program. Okay, also do look out for upcoming events. We do have other type of events like Ask Us Anything sessions. Basically, it's a Q&A session. And so just look out for updates via our website or, sign up, in our mailing list, and you should be able to receive these updates via email. Now, here's a tip. There's no perfect formula, or there's no typical profile that we want. Okay, just bring forth your strengths, your qualities, and your experience, and show how you can leverage them to contribute to the program. Now let's move on to the next slide, admissions eligibility. Okay, what else do we look for in our candidates? We look for, professional and leadership experience. As mentioned, a minimum of 8 years of full-time professional work experience after obtaining your bachelor's, high-level managerial responsibilities of people resources or projects if you hold a pivotal role in achieving business goals. Do you have a collaborative spirit and innovative thinking? And as mentioned, we'll look at your academic readiness. We will look at whether TOEFL or IELTS may be required. We will also look at your career trajectory and what you can gain from our program and what you can possibly give to your classmates in the program as well. Moving on to the next slide. Now, feel free to take a screenshot if you want. This is an overview of the materials that you'll need for your application. Okay, firstly, this is a very, very common question that I get from prospects. Do I need GMAT, GRE, or EA? It is not mandatory. It's not required. It's optional though. Okay, so if you do want to take it, you can, but it is not required for this particular program. Okay, we do require your university transcripts and certificates. We will require your answers to 3 essay questions, your resume or CV, 2 recommendations, and perhaps TOEFL or IELTS as well. Well, we will go into details in the upcoming slides, and also at the very end of this presentation, there will be a Q&A session for you to ask us any questions regarding the admissions process or the program. Now, I'd like to pass things over to my colleague, Vanessa, who will be taking us through the next few slides. Vanessa, over to you.
Thank you, Desiree. So we'll go into the details. So first off, we want to create an application. If you have an account, you can log in and create an application for UCLA-NUS 2023. As you go through the application, they'll ask you to fill out the required fields and upload the materials accordingly, such as your adding your professional experience, uploading your resume, uploading your transcripts, and filling out the essays. We'll go into more details in the future slides, but overall, you want to ensure your application is complete before submitting. So crossing your T's and dotting your I's, all the mandatory fields that are required, and also paying the application fee, since our application fee waiver has ended at the end of the year. And at the end, once you can click submit. But a helpful tip is, as you work on your application, you can actually add your recommender's email, and that will automatically prompt an email for them to start filling out the recommendation. And they can work on this as you also work on your application. In our program, we want to make sure that each student is prepared as possible and feels supported throughout the program. So as Desiree mentioned, we do not require the GMAT, GRE, or EA. It is optional. Instead, we evaluate each applicant to ensure they're prepared for the quantitative portion of the MBA programs. So since there's no minimum score, we instead have invested in developing our own MBA math prep course readiness program. All incoming students and applicants and enrolled students have access to this resource, and it's free of cost, only paying for the textbook. And depending on your math level and your quantitative coursework or background, you may be asked to complete this before the start of the program in May. All of this will be communicated to you if you're admitted into enrolled into the program. But if you have any concerns about your GPA or your background, we recommend just connecting with the team. We're always happy to answer any questions and give you that transparent feedback. And lastly, you can use the essay fields and optional questions to share more about your academic history and career experience. This is really your space to talk to the admissions committee and share your story. So for example, are there any additional information or circumstances or qualifications not included in an optional essays that you may want to include here? Or if you've taken recent quantitative coursework that might not be reflected on your transcripts, you can add this here as well. Next, we'll ask you to share your career history and your goals for the future with the admissions committee. We will see a snapshot of your employment on your uploaded resume, but we still ask for you to fill out your career history, and you can really use the job description portion of the when you add in your employer to further expand on your roles and responsibilities that could potentially be used for quantitative support. So if you've had multiple positions with the same employer, you can list them. You only have to list them once, and you can add the starting and end positions. You do not have to include any internships or part-time work or extracurricular activities, but you can include these in your resume. We are interested in knowing what your interests are as well. If you have any military background, you can include this. We do look at this. And if you are currently unemployed, you can add an end date to your most recent employer, and you can just add reasons for leaving such employer, and you can use the optional essay. We do understand that times are tough and some industries are being differently affected. So we are open to knowing about your experiences, and do not hesitate to also reach out if you have any questions about that. Moving on. Oh yeah, so this is how you'll see it in your application to add your employer, but also upload your resume. Some transcript tips. This is one of the biggest questions that we're probably asked and might be a major concern for you all, but hopefully we can alleviate any stress. The transcripts that you upload onto your application are considered unofficial, but we do prefer scans of these official documents that you have to be used as placeholders as we await your official transcripts, degree certificates, or diplomas to be sent to us directly. We request that all transcripts be sent to us via email. That is the most safe, quickest, and secure option, or using parchment exchange. Many schools have adjusted their transcript delivery services due to COVID-19, and applicants have actually found it very successful to email their scans, such as the scans you've uploaded onto your application, to their school and asking their school to forward it to us as a way to verify the documents. So this email sender should have an official email signature, official title, a name from the office sending the transcript. And if this ultimately isn't possible, we can have the hard copy sent to our office. Just feel free to give me a heads up so that I can take a look. Next, you do not have to convert your GPA or seek any outside evaluations. We have our own evaluation system, so all you have to do is upload and add your GPA however it's reflected on these documents. And if you have a degree from a country where English is not the main language, you may be asked to take the TOEFL or the IELTS examinations. As you can see here, the minimum score for the TOEFL is 87, and for the IELTS, it's 7. If you have any questions about this, reach out to the admissions team and we'll be sure to evaluate and tell you if you have to take the exam or not. If you are admitted and enrolled, we do refund students who had to take this test as a thank you almost for going through the process. And for this 2023-2024 cycle, we will accept the TOEFL IBT Home Edition, the IELTS Online, and the IELTS Indicator test scores. Because we do understand that some testing locations have been affected because of COVID-19, so we are now offering more flexibility on that end. And just another tip, you can upload your transcripts, a copy of your transcripts, degree certificates, diploma certificates in the original language and English translation as a placeholder as we wait for your official to come in. We don't need the official transcripts in order for you to submit. So yeah. Next, I'll hand it off to Christina, who will discuss more about the essays and how you can share more of your story. Christina?
All right. Thank you so much, Vanessa.
Yeah.
So I'll be going over the essays in the application, recommendation letters, your interview, what to expect there, and the timeline, what to expect after you apply. So first up, I'm going to discuss the essay questions, the essay prompts. Here they are for you to review, but really, the point of us asking these questions in the essay section of the application is really to get a better sense of your career plans and overall your perspectives. We want to understand your motivations for the MBA. We also want to hear about your passions and what drives you. So we felt that these questions were the best way to get a good sense of who you are personally and professionally, and overall to get a good sense of if you'd be a good fit for a program. So you'll see here our essay questions. Essay question 1 is how have people, events, and or situations in your life influenced you who you are today? So that is a 500-word maximum. The next question is, why have you decided to enter the Executive MBA program? Why is this an appropriate time for you to begin? So that's a 2-question prompt, just a heads up there. The final essay question is, share with us a book or any other forms of literature that you've read in the past 5 years and how it has influenced your thinking. So like overall, just getting to know you better, getting to know why this makes sense, why the MBA makes sense in your life, why now, why us, why this program in particular. It's a very unique program. Why does it make sense to you in what you're looking for in your goals, in your long-term goals? My advice here in these essays and how you complete these is to take some time to reflect, be introspective, be genuine, be yourself. Sometimes people ask, what can I do to stand out? And there's no one thing that you can do, but you and your uniqueness alone and who you are as an individual allows you to stand out. So that's what we're really just looking to capture in these essays and through this application process is, who are you? And how can our program help you succeed in your ambitions and your goals, because we want to make sure that what we offer in our program can do so. So it's just, again, getting to know you. So here, share your perspective and your story, be genuine, be introspective and succinct. I think that's a good point. Be succinct, and we're not looking for several pages in these essay responses. It's 500 words maximum. So you do need to be succinct and get to your point in 500 words or less. And then elaborate on your career plans. If we find the need to ask you to elaborate any more than you have in your essays and in your application, that's when we will ask you during your interview those questions. We'll ask you to elaborate more during your interview. And one quick point before we move on from essays, if you are a reapplicant, if you've applied the year before and are applying again, or in the last 2 years, actually, someone who's a reapplicant has applied in the past 2 years. Just a heads up here, the reapplication essay is to describe your career progress since you last applied and how you have strengthened your candidacy. Include updates on your short-term and long-term goals. So we're mostly looking for what has been updated, what has changed since the last time that we spoke, a year or 2 years ago. All right, we can move on to recommendations. So our recommendations, the recommendations on the UCLA-NUS EMBA application are required. So 2 of which are required. So you'll want to start in the research process, start to reach out to potential recommenders, supervisors. Past supervisors are typically best to complete what's asked in the recommendation form. And the reason why we recommend you reach out to supervisor or past supervisor over a colleague or someone in academia, like a past professor, the reason why we want you to have a recommender that's a supervisor is because of the nature of the questions that the recommendation form asks. The recommendation form will ask questions in reference to any constructive feedback that the recommender has ever had to give you and how you responded to that. The question template will also ask the recommender to provide more information as to your leadership and how you are as a team player in a professional setting. So due to the nature of the questions, we do recommend that a supervisor completes these the recommendations. Let's see here. So selecting someone that can speak to your work performance, capabilities, potential for your graduate studies and your future career success. So someone that's there to support you. We want to hear from them. And then I also always like to recommend maybe setting up a time to chat with your potential recommender, maybe going for a coffee chat or connecting on Zoom and maybe via Zoom or chat, and having this conversation focus less on work and what's due and on that side, and more so on your professional and personal development. So kind of make that switch and that pivot in that conversation to focus on that. So I always recommend a coffee chat or some Zoom environment, whatever you're comfortable with, just to go over those, go over what you're looking for, why you want this. And those discussions may even include why you want to take time off from work to achieve a program like this. If you are asking your supervisor to write this recommendation letter. So those are all conversations that you'll just want to get comfortable with. And if you have any questions about who you should select as your recommender, please don't hesitate to ask us, and we're happy to help advise you or guide you there. Let's see here. We can final recommendation. Oh, great point here. And this reminder, recommendation letters can come in after you submit the application. So you saw there that in a few slides ago that the next application deadline is February 28th. So that's our next and final application deadline. But if your recommendation letters come in after February 28th, that is absolutely okay. They could come in a few weeks after February 28th even. And we can get started with your evaluation before then. So we can get started in your interview and your application reviews, all of that before those recommendation letters come in. And that's because we understand that your recommenders must be busy, and as long as you submit your application by February 28th, you're going to be fine, and we can wait. We can hold off and be patient for those recommendation letters to come in. So great point there, and we can move on to the next slide. Here you'll see just the sample recommendation form. See here the slide that was just expanded. You'll see more detail as to why it's preferable to ask a supervisor to answer these questions. So these are motivation and initiative, work quality, teamwork, leadership potential, communication, confidence, resilience. These are asking, this is a ranking scale side. So these are really questions that someone that knows you very well and knows you now, more recently, can best assess. All right, next, moving on. All right, so talking about the interview a little bit. So the main point of an interview is to, of course, get to know you better, but of course, for you to get to know us. It is a two-way street. It allows you the opportunity to explore who UCLA is, who NUS is, our culture, what to expect, expectations. You can ask us questions about the shape of the class, where other admitted students are coming from, where do they live, get more of that insight and ask us those type of questions. That's perfectly fine and normal. An interview invitation is always sent to candidates who meet our criteria. So you must be invited for an interview. So not all candidates receive an interview. One interview is required to move forward with the evaluation. Sometimes students, for the next step here, sometimes students ask us what, or prospective candidates and applicants ask us what type of preparation is needed before going into an interview with our team. And it's really minimal preparation, because everything that we ask you is going to be things you already know. It's just more about yourself, more about why you want this program. Why do you want an MBA? What are your goals from here? It doesn't hurt too that many times we are just asking similar questions to what you just answered in your essay, in your essays for your application. So it's all going to be pretty fresh in your mind. And then that last point here, yeah, be genuine and answer the questions directly. Yeah, this is the interview, and point I didn't mention in the beginning, but interviews are available on Pacific time and Singapore time. So you can either be interviewed by UCLA or by NUS. It just depends on the time zone. So what we typically will do is record the interview and send it to our counterparts, our either NUS, so UCLA will send it to NUS, or NUS will send their recording over to us so we can evaluate to ultimately come up with a final decision for your candidacy from there. All right, timeline after the interview. After the interview, that's when the admissions teams get together, discuss, and evaluate your candidacy. Sometimes we'll evaluate your candidacy and advocate for your candidacy with our faculty committee. So this is, I would say, would take about 3 to 4 weeks for us to do. So I would say, so yeah, 3 to 6 weeks. It depends on if you have your transcript sent to us. So as Vanessa pointed out, transcripts are needed. Sometimes those can take a little while to be sent to us if they're hard copy, transcripts to be sent to the US if you're international. That could take a little while. So it could be anywhere from 3 to 6 weeks that we will give you an admission outcome, a final decision on your candidacy. Typically, if admitted, we will ask you to respond and let us know if you're coming to the program within anywhere from 2 weeks to 3 weeks. So it's a pretty quick turnaround, and that's only because we do start the program in May. So we may ask you for a quick turnaround. We want to know what you're thinking, if you want to join the program or not, so we can get you enrolled. So yeah, the entire process from the time you submit the application to the time that you are granted a decision is roughly 1.5 months, to play it safe. We try to get you a decision faster and sooner and with a quicker turnaround, but that's not always the case. So on average, I like to say about 6 weeks. All right. All right, so that's essentially it. Just a quick little note here. Final application deadline, February 28th. And again, that is to start the program this May in Singapore. And then the next session will be in August in Los Angeles at the UCLA campus. And then will be China in November, and then will be India in February, and then Singapore in May, and then UCLA in August. And so it's a very fast program, only 15 months with 6 different in-country modules. So that is a little summary of what to expect on the application. To Desiree's point earlier, such a good point, mentioned that, you know, all of this, as detailed as this presentation was, it's really here for you to not fear the next steps. We want to be as transparent and make it as feasible, as doable as possible. Also for you to know that we're here to help you through this process. So don't hesitate to reach out. We're transparent. We want to walk you through the process as much as we can too. All right, so from here, we'll open it up to Q&A. I'll bring my colleagues back in. We've got Desiree and Vanessa, and let's see. All right, we can open it up to Q&A. I think there's enough people, or a few enough people in the groups, if you want to just unmute yourself and ask a question or use the raise hand feature. Either one is fine.
Or if you're feeling a little bit shy, you can use the chat function as well.
Yes. All right, Yuzo, go ahead.
Thank you for your time and the valuable input today. And I just wondering if I could know that what feedback have the past program participant about the multiple location.
Sure.
Yes,
Oh,
please.
I'm so sorry, you cut out. Can you repeat the question?
So what kind of feedback you have from the past participant about such multiple place program? I know some schools offer the multiple place program, but it's about 2 or at least at most 3, I think. But in case of 2 or 3 years, but in case of your school and program, you offer around 5, of course, location. But so I'm curious about what kind of feedback.
Sure. I'll take the first try there and then open it up to Desiree and Vanessa based on the feedback that I've received from alumni. And this is in reference to the Singapore twice, US, Los Angeles twice, China once, and India once. Correct? I believe that was the reference there. I've heard wonderful things, even from our candidates that have, say lived in India or China for many years in their life or even adult life. If they don't live there anymore, going back and learning in that environment and doing company visits sometimes and meeting with local, maybe even alumni. It's a brand new experience for them. It's a brand new, fresh experience for them to see business in that light this time around. So yeah, and then of course the reason why we're in these countries is because of the incredible business efforts in the business world and the global economy that these countries impact. India, of course, with the innovations and the technology innovations. So China with you name it, any kind of business, you name it. So I think it's a really enriching experience, and I've heard very, very good feedback from our alumni. Singapore and Los Angeles too. I mean, these are certainly countries that we think are major players in the global economy, and these are countries that we want to represent in a program like this. These are countries that we feel are important for you to get to know and understand as part of the learning experience. So I've heard good feedback so far. I don't know about you, Desiree.
Yeah, just adding to what Christina just mentioned, and this is based off of my conversations with prospects and even current students and alumni as well. These different residential segments, okay, across 15 months, the 6 different residential segments are a big part of this program, and it's what sets us apart from a lot of the other executive MBA programs, especially those who are, who would only conduct classes in a single campus or maybe a couple of different campuses. Okay, so this is definitely one of the factors that set us apart from the other programs. It is a big part of the program because we want to give a better experience to our students, because there's only so much you can learn from online classes or even in-person classes, being stuck within 4 walls of the classroom and just learning and hearing from your professors. Okay, for this program, that's kind of why I mentioned earlier on that peer-to-peer learning is very important. We want you to be able to share and to learn from everyone else in your class. And on top of that, we find that it's a lot more beneficial to actually bring you to these different markets to actually allow you to immerse yourself in that particular country and culture, because we cannot assume that everyone taking part in this program has been exposed to any of these countries or cultures, right? So I think it's going to be very beneficial for them to be in Singapore, to be in LA, China, India. And that's not all. They will also get to meet and hear from guest speakers, with the company visits as well, to see how businesses are run in that country. Is very different from hearing stories from colleagues or reading articles, right? I think it's a whole lot better for you to be there in person and to experience everything yourself. And at the end of the day, you will also get a chance to banter and exchange ideas with all of these senior leaders. So yeah, I do hope that answers your question, Yuzo, that this is why this is a huge part of the program. It's something that we will definitely want to continue in the years to come, because that's also another common question amongst prospects as well. Like, why do you have so many different traveling segments, right? This is the main reason behind that.
Thank you, Christina and Lai. Yeah, I got your point.
Thank you, Yuzo. Thank you. Any other questions? Or feel free to drop your questions in the chat as well. Big hello to Will Santo, Yen King, Ricky. Hi, Elise. Chester as well.
Hi, Elise. No problem, Chester.
Hello.
Yeah, no problem. We will we'll connect with you another time. Thanks for joining.
Gangatha as well. Thanks for joining us today. Any other questions, guys?
Hi everyone, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, so I guess my question is quite general and it's probably a very simple one as well. But then, you've covered everything and I think all the materials are already there on the website, so I can go through that. But then I'd probably just ask about, the financing options and probably just what some of the previous candidates have done in terms of actually making sure they've set themselves up for getting those finances in time for being able to start the program.
Yes. Okay. We can certainly answer that. And I think that's such a valid question. And I think that's something you want to feel comfortable and ready and confident before starting a program like this in May. So I would encourage you start setting up those appointments and meetings soon. We do have a financial aid representative for this program. Her name is Connie Kwan, and she is like the go-to person for any questions that you may have in reference to what kind of loans you can take out, what students typically do. I know from my experience and when I chat with students, they're mostly taking out a loan, a government or private loan, and it depends on where you're located. There could be different loans available too. So yes, so the school fee, I see a note here that the tuition, the program fee is $135,000 USD, but we like to also mention that there's a roughly 5%, $5,000 increase when you factor in taxes for Singaporean taxes. So I would say it's roughly 140,000 USD. And that is for the entirety of the program. It does not include lodging, but it includes or travel, like your flight anywhere. but it does include quite a few other things, like when you're in the program, you're set up for your food, you're set up for your books. So it's pretty hands-off after the program fees are paid, but we will just, you do need to just make sure you're in country, and so fly in on your own cost and are lodged at your own cost as well. But going back to the question of what students do, I typically see, again, students take out government loans or private loans. Sometimes I've also asked about tips and tricks on how to ask companies for more sponsorship. This program does require you to be away from work for a few weeks, 3 weeks minimum per year when you're in the in-country residentials. So one tip I always like to mention is that as you're going through any negotiations or that conversation with your supervisor, with your employer about this program, maybe outside of sponsorship dollars towards the tuition, maybe they sponsor you in time. Time is money. That can also be a tip there. So there's some tips and tricks. We have some on our website about how to sponsor the tuition, but generally it's going to be out of pocket for most candidates. I don't know if you have anything to add there, Desiree.
Yeah, just jumping in here, and yeah, so it is a huge investment, not just in terms of money, but time, effort as well. So at this point, whichever stage you may be in right now, maybe you're just shopping for executive MBA programs, for example. Whichever stage you're in, I would highly encourage you to start that conversation, to have that conversation with your supervisor, with your company, get their advice, perhaps, and hopefully maybe talk to the HR department about a possible company sponsorship. But at the end of the day, it's very important for you to speak to them to get their support, because as mentioned, you will be required to take quite a number of days off, a number of days leave, and to be out of the office. So it's very important that you have your supervisor support, your team members, even your family as well. For personal and family commitments, you have to speak to your partner and so on and so forth. So get that, get those conversations going at this stage. And also, I know that Yanking, you are concerned about the school fees as well. Just to let you know that it's very competitive, okay? And if you were to do a comparison with all of the other executive MBA programs, the fact that this is the most efficient way for you to gain not one, but two prestigious, recognized world-class degrees within such a short period of time. And still, if you were to do a comparison, the price range, we are not the most expensive as well. Okay, so that's kind of why I said that, it's priced very competitively, and you can gain a lot from this particular program. So I would highly encourage you to have a look at the website, our brochure, or even speak to us to figure out if this is the right program for you to achieve your goals and where you see yourself in the next 5 to 10 years. And also, in case you missed out on our emails and so on, we have our inaugural scholarships this intake onwards. Okay, it'll be the first intake to be able to enjoy our scholarship program. And you'll be able to see the list of different categories. Okay, so again, I would highly recommend and encourage everyone here to go to the website and have a look at the different categories. If you are successfully awarded, the scholarship, it can help fund up to 20% of the program fees. yeah, just wondering if did I miss out anything, Christina, Vanessa?
No, I know you did great. Thank you, Desiree. And I'm so glad you mentioned the scholarships. They're so new. We just launched them last month. I almost forgot. So I'm really glad you mentioned that. We're really excited about them.
That's right. So that's something for you to consider as well. And here's another common question that I've gotten from prospects. To apply for these scholarships, it comes later on in the admissions process. It's the moment where you are offered a seat in the class for this particular program. Once you have received the letter of offer, you will also receive like a link for you to apply for the scholarships. So Yanking and Gangatha, hopefully that answered your question.
Yeah, that answers it. Thanks. Thanks, Desiree and
Thank you.
Christina.
Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. Okay, well, we have 2 minutes left of the hour-long event. I don't know if we have time for any other questions, but I don't see any other hands, so I think that's okay. I hope you all enjoyed today's event or found at least 1 or 2 points of information relevant. I think the main point of today is, again, just know that we're approachable. We're ready to support. We're ready to help you out. And if you have questions about your candidacy in particular and want to see if you're a good fit and haven't had that one-on-one with us just yet, please do so, and we'll chat with you. We'll send you a follow-up email with our email addresses in there after today, this morning. So you can get our contact information there and we'll stay in touch. So I thank you all, and thank you, Desiree, Vanessa, and team for joining us today. Thank you, Alfonso.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Yes, thank you guys.
Thank you.
Have a great
care.
weekend ahead.
Bye-bye.